Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
At Egbert, I'm telling you, what we do without him, we wouldn't have a job.
That's absolutely true.
We'd be working back at that in front of that other microphone saying, "You want fries with that, sir?" That's what we'd be doing.
I sure would be.
It is the
or
B.
I'd be back at some other corporate stress factory,
right?
Taking work home with me in my brain.
Right. Every time I hear every once in a while your podcast where you talk about the worst case scenario for you would be waking up in the morning and logging into Outlook. I always get a kick out of it.
God.
Corporate life. 7:25. It is bj.show. bj.show.
No, bjshow.co.
God, I did it again. bjshow.co. I have a mental block with that. Okay.
And thanks to everybody who has been spreading the word, who has been retweeting, who has been sharing Instagram posts, YouTube videos, etc. We appreciate everybody who listens when you're coming to and from the Capitol, when you're in St. Louis, when you're anywhere in the world. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We get more and more people every day. It's sort of interesting. You know, because
it's not surprising, Brad.
You know what? You know what it is. They like to hear a smart guy like you, and they like to hear a dumb guy like me because it's sort of a train wreck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's when
and the compliment is registered and appreciated, Brad. Thank you.
Like when the two forces come together. You know, it's like boom, that kind of thing. Okay. The Hunter Biden thing. I mean, one more time, let's touch on this. The crazy thing about this is that if he were a regular Joe like you and me, we would be in jail right now. You know what I mean?
Of course we would.
There's no two ways about that.
But there's nothing. And now, again, I'm not defending Hunter Biden here, but that it's nothing new that when you have access to resources. I mean, anybody who lived through the O.J. Simpson trial, which I did, and I was in high school at the time. Anybody who lived through O.J., I mean, what an awakening that was.
Did I ever tell you about I spent a day at the O.J. trial?
You're kidding me. No. By accident?
Well, it was by accident. It's sort of a weird story. I was vacationing. I was doing one of my my West Coast. I drove to California. This time I didn't drive both ways. I rented a one-way car and I drove out west, drove through Denver, stayed a couple nights in Las Vegas.
Wow, nice.
Went down to San Diego, stayed in San Diego, and one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to LA and just going to hang around. I'm going to drive through downtown LA and see the sights because I've never been through downtown LA before. I've been through parts of LA, been to LAX several times, been to Disneyland on several occasions, but never been in downtown LA. So I'm driving around in downtown LA and I see the sights you see on TV all the time, especially the police shows. You see all the different, the city hall and stuff like that. And I turn a corner and guess what? I'm at the LA County Courthouse. And I'm going like, whoa, this is the OJ trial. So I park my car down the street a few blocks, and I get out, and I spend my day at the OJ trial outside. Now, what a lot of people didn't realize was, first off, there was a whole other world happening outside the OJ trial because there were people standing on the corners, panhandling like crazy. There were whole groups of musicians playing music, trying to get discovered. There were people selling trinkets and,
It's its own economic ecosystem.
Yes. And the crazy thing about it was across the street, and I guess it was like an older court building they didn't use anymore, and there was a big parking lot behind it, is what they called OJ City. And no, seriously.
So it's like Tent City if it was for refugees.
Here's what it was. It was all the media people, all the satellite trucks and stuff like that, plus they had campers and things like that. And the staff, I don't know about the reporters. The reporters are probably in the Four Seasons and stuff like that. But the engineers and the techs and stuff like that lived in OJ City. And
so they had they'd have like RVs and such? And they could spend the night there?
Yeah, campers and RVs. And the interesting part of it was, if you remember, this is sort of interesting, if you remember, there was this shot that I think that when Court TV was big time and CNN was there in the whole bit, and there was a shot of like there was an anchor desk, and over their back shoulder was the L.A. County Courthouse. Okay, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't visualize it right now.
Okay,
Go ahead.
but what's interesting was that was actually a 3-level platform. It was like scaffolding they built, and I think CNN was on the bottom section and Court TV was on the center section and NBC was on the top section. So essentially they all had the same view, but what you didn't realize, they were stacked on top of one another.
Interesting.
Okay,
nice.
so
that's smart.
So the interesting thing is, I got there. You got there probably about 9:30 in the morning. Everybody was in already. So I'm walking around talking to the various techs and things like that, and they're literally cameramen who are laying on the front. There's a little bit of a front lawn there. They're laying on the front lawn, getting some Z's and the whole bit, and then at about, maybe it's 11:30, 11:45, the door flies open to the courthouse, and someone yells, "They're done! They're on the way down!" So immediately, all the cameramen pick up their cameras, and everybody.
And you were there on this day, Brad?
Well, I was there. It was a day. I mean, it was one of the days of the trial.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was there. And so all the cameramen and everybody, they pick up their cameras. And the routine was, and you saw all these Lincoln Town cars, these black Lincoln Town cars pull up in front of the county courthouse. And the police, ushered them in the whole bit. And the routine was, out comes Johnny Cochran, and the cameramen follow him out. They stick a microphone in front of the reporters, going, "Johnny, what do you think of what happened this morning?" And Johnny just smiles and waves. The camera people, doesn't say anything. He gets in his limousine, takes off, or his Lincoln Town car. Then Robert Kardashian comes out, and same thing. Mr. Kardashian, what do you think happened this morning? And he waves to the crowd and the whole bit. He gets in his car and takes off. And then the third attorney, can't remember who that was, he gets in his car, takes off. And all the cameramen put their equipment down and go back to sleep. I'm going and I said to one of the guys, I said to one of the guys, I go, "Is this the way it is every day?" "Oh yeah, every day." He says, "If you had been here in the morning, they all show up. They the police usher to the black Lincoln Continentals, Lincoln Town cars up to the front desk, and Johnny gets out and he waves to the crowd, and the cameramen follow him in, and the reporters are, Mr. Cochran," and then at lunch break and then at dinner break when they go home for the day, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
he says,
same routine.
And he looks at
me,
and
it's theatrics.
Well, he looks at me.
Everybody was glued to it. My parents loved that. Loved that. I mean, they watched it every day.
He looks at me and he says, "It's just like Groundhog Day." I still remember
it's the
that.
Same thing over and over.
Okay. As far as last night, okay, let's talk about a little bit of national publicity. We have our national politics. We have the debates down to 2. Essentially, it's down to Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. And, of course, we have Trump trying to steal their thunder, doing a town hall solo by himself.
Right. And you're not including Vivek in that, huh?
Well, he wasn't in it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you say it's down to 2, in the debate, it was down to 2 on that stage.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
but Vivek is still.
Let's be honest. Unless Trump gets thrown in jail, I'm going to hurt some people's feelings. People who are Ron DeSantis fans or Nikki Haley's fans or stuff like that. Unless Trump gets thrown in jail, there ain't nothing going to happen. Those people don't have a snowball's chance in hell.
Right.
Because Trump's the man. And I'm not saying Trump's the man like I'm the Trump MAGA fan. I'm saying, read the tea leaves. He's leading by huge amounts of percentage points everywhere. I don't care where. Now, the big deal is, of course, Monday with Iowa, the Iowa caucuses, and now they're already saying, well, what's going to happen is, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are just jockeying for position because they want to be that number 2. So if Trump does get thrown in jail, they'll be the standby and they'll be the presumptive candidate for the Republican Party in the 2024 presidential election. I'm going I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't.
So you bring up a good point, Brad. This is Donald Trump's party now. And I mentioned this when Scott Fawn had me and Stephanie Bell on the show a couple weeks ago. Those of us who came up in the political party system, and that includes most people who are listening to this right now, at least in podcast form, most of us came up through the traditional Republican Party system and that had township committee people and county committee people, and you cared what the state party said. And that changed in 2015 and 2016 and then the ensuing years. And some people think it's a terrible thing, and some people think it's a wonderful thing. And it doesn't matter how I feel about it or how you feel about it, but it's different now. You don't have to work your way up being a precinct, a precinct captain and then a township leader and then a county leader. This is Donald Trump's party right now.
Okay, I liken it to baseball, okay? And here's my analogy, okay? Let's say you're a star high school baseball player and you get drafted by one of the big league teams and you're going to go to one of the minor league teams. Or let's say you go to college, okay? So you start out in probably, if you're pretty good, you'll start out maybe in rookie ball. Maybe they'll put you right up to A ball, which is the lowest of the three tiers below rookie ball. And let's say you spend a year in A league and you do pretty well, and they bump you up to double A, and then another year you hit a bunch of homers, or your pitcher you strike out everybody in a game and you have a perfect game, and they bump you up to triple A ball, and then you're waiting for the call. You're waiting for the call to go to the show. You're waiting for the call to go to the show, to the bigs, and one day you get that call and bango, you're playing for the Cardinals. Okay, here's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in the stands and yells to the coach, "Hey, that pitcher sucks. I can pitch better than he can." And the coach looks at Trump and says, "Dude, get out there and throw an inning." So he goes out to the mound and he strikes out the side. That's the analogy between what Trump...
and there are very few players that have ever skipped the minor leagues and gone on. And if you worked, what I think you're getting at, Brad, is if you worked and you went to college and you went to A ball, double A, triple A, you say, who is this son of a gun to even think he can come in here and not pay his dues and be the president?
Yeah, exact same thing. But you said that even to the point where Franklin County's thinking about doing that, where
the candidate vetting,
right, the candidate has to be vetted by, what is it, the Republican Committee of Franklin County? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, Brad, but news on that. Your friend Mark McCloskey, 10 days ago or maybe a week ago, appeared. I think it was the day before he was on our show. He spoke to the St. Louis County. St. Louis City Republican Central Committee, and was fully in favor of vetting, and is like, "Hey, you guys are right. We need to have a stamp of approval for these candidates."
John, I truly doubt what you just said.
Why is that?
I think that was totally made up, because are there any Republicans in St. Louis City?
Hey, there's been a handful. I think they're hiding out in St. Louis Hills. Now, Brad, to go back to your baseball analogy with Trump for a minute here, let's take that a bit further. In that, let's say you and I are Cardinal fans, right? We've both been. That's not an exaggeration. We've been lifelong Cardinal fans.
Speak for yourself. I'm not a Cardinal fan anymore.
What's that?
I'm not a Cardinal fan anymore.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not a Cardinal fan anymore.
I didn't know that. And okay, let's explore that. And let me do my analogy, and then we'll come back to you not being a Cardinal fan. So I'm a Cardinal fan, and I'm not a big fan of Ollie Marmol, the Cardinals manager right now, right? And I think he's got a lot of flaws. Let's just leave it at that. But he is our manager going into the 2024 season. So how I feel about it right now, I'm not going to get him fired as manager. I'm not going to stop Donald Trump from being the Republican nominee. I think he's going to be our nominee, and I'm going to vote for him. But the fact that I think that there could be a better manager out there than Ollie Marmol, I still want the Cardinals to win. So when Ollie Marmol comes out on the field on opening day, I'm going to be right there with everybody clapping for him, because he's our guy.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, let me change a different subject. Yesterday, I heard a report on another radio station that a study has been taken by, I guess, DESE, the state of Missouri, the whole bit. What's DESE stand for again?
Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
And they've come out with the earth-shattering fact that there would be no learning loss if the schools in the state of Missouri went to a 4-day week. Okay. If they went Monday through Thursday. Okay? Can I tell you that I think that is the absolute positive worst thing you can do, because what you're doing is you're preparing these kids ultimately to go out into the job world, and when they go out into the job after they only go to school Monday through Thursday, and the boss says on Thursday, "See you tomorrow," and the kid says, Tomorrow, it's Friday.
It's Friday. There's no way.
Right. Well, yeah. We work on Friday. No, we don't. Friday's the day off. I heard this. I thought to myself, this is just BS.
I know how. Now, Brad, remember that you and I on this topic, we are digging in our heels on society changes, and every employer is going through this right now. I read a story about this yesterday. Every employer is going through the fact that if you do not offer work from home in a corporate environment, you might as well just forget attracting top talent. Nobody wants to go. And now you push back on me and you say, John, there are some people that want to go to the office. And I'm sure there's a handful of people that want to go to the office. But if you're offered a job where you can either choose to work at the office or choose to, quote, work from your home office while you get some laundry done, while you do some gardening, while you take a nap, what are people going to choose?
But see, what you're assuming is everybody can do their job from home. Like, for example,
I'm not assuming that.
Well, now,
if you're a lineman working for Ameren,
that's what I'm
saying. You
saying.
Can't fix a telephone pole, or you can't fix an electrical line sitting in your kitchen table, or you're taking a nap.
Right.
Completely agree.
You can't drop an engine into a Colorado out of the GM assembly line out in Wentzville from your house. Okay.
And Brad Hildebrand can't sell an ad to Simply Bella just doing a Zoom call. Like, you got to go out to Lake St. Louis.
I did. I really did. I did several times.
But I mean, that's a perfect example of there's always that face-to-face thing. If you're working in government relations in Jefferson City, you're not just going to Zoom a state legislator and say, hey, let's talk about that bill, pal.
Okay.
You want to be hanging out. You want to be at the bar. You want to be – did I say bar? You want to be in the halls of the Capitol talking to these legislators.
Okay, I'm going to mention Mark Reardon again yesterday because I listened to him in the afternoon, and he talked about this, and he talked about this very topic, and he said that when he first got in the radio business, and he's younger than me, but same thing with me, standard work week was 6 days a week. We work 6 days a week.
I believe it, yeah.
You either had Saturday off or Sunday off. You work 6 days a week. There was no, and then it got to the point where, like, with Guy Phillips, and then with Frank Opinion, and like this stupid crap with Howard Stern. Guy Phillips and Frank Opinion got to the point where they didn't work, and even Charlie Brennan at KMOX, he didn't work Fridays. Dude,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
really?
Near the end, before he retired, they all got Friday off, and I'm going, dude, if you can't show up and sit down in a damn chair and talk in front of a microphone for 5 days a week, just dig the hole, bury yourself, and throw the dirt in on top of yourself, because it ain't hard labor. It's not like we're busting, we're picking up bales of hay, or we're, we're moving bricks around, or we're picking up, bundles of stuff in a warehouse.
You're cracking open your Mountain Dew, and you're just sitting there talking.
Or in their case, they're sipping their coffee. Hey, they're sitting there, their fat rumpus down in a chair. And once again, if you can't work, it's just like this whole crazy thing with Howard Stern. Oh, he's so amazed that he got COVID. Dude, get over it. The whole crazy thing, because, he puts himself, he's like the boy in the bubble. He puts himself in a hermetically.
Don't get me started on that.
God.
And as we go to break, remember that most folks if you're listening to this on a Thursday, most folks that have kids have their kids home a half day today, all day tomorrow for professional development across the St. Louis region. And of course, they're home on Monday to celebrate the life and the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So it's essentially pretty much a 5-day weekend for kids. Professional development, Brad. Teachers don't get enough of it.
Don't even start me, okay?
I'm going to start with you. You know what? I have a whole list of things here that are just called Brad's Hot Buttons, and that's one of them.
Okay, we'll
be back. This has
been
brought to you by St. Louis Public Radio.
Yes, right. Thank you, Jason Rosenbaum. We'll be back.